Welcome back to Future Finance Lab. Something strange just happened in the global markets. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz. Oil tankers are being attacked in the Persian Gulf, and the biggest geopolitical shock since the 1970s is unfolding. But instead of soaring, gold fell. Silver fell even harder. Gold dropped from about $5,419 to around $5,085, and silver fell from $96 to the low $80s. Most investors see this and assume the crisis is fading. But according to the framework used by legendary investor Ray Dalio, the real move in precious metals hasn't even started yet. And the reason why gold fell during a war is something most investors completely misunderstand. Let's break it down. When the conflict began in early March, markets reacted exactly how you would expect. Oil surged. Gold spiked above $5,400. Silver briefly touched $96. Retail investors rushed in, expecting precious metals to explode higher, but within days, prices reversed. And the reason has nothing to do with the war ending. It has to do with bond yields and the US dollar. As oil prices surged, investors started expecting higher inflation. Higher inflation means the Federal Reserve is less likely to cut interest rates. So the 10-year Treasury yield jumped sharply. And when bond yields rise, gold usually falls. Why? Because gold doesn't pay interest. So when investors can earn higher yields in bonds, gold becomes less attractive in the short term. This is the mechanical relationship that suppressed gold and silver after the initial spike. Oil up, inflation fears up, bond yields up, gold temporarily down. It's not a mystery, it's a market mechanism. But here's where things get interesting. According to Ray Dalio, this exact pattern has happened every time a major oil shock hits the economy. Look at 1973. When the OPEC oil embargo began, gold initially spiked, then it pulled back. Then it traded sideways for a while. And during that quiet period, many investors assumed the rally was over, but that was only the beginning. Between 1971 and 1980, gold rose more than 2,000%. Not because of the initial shock, but because of persistent inflation. The same setup may now be forming again. Today's environment may actually be even more powerful than the 1970s. First, the oil shock itself. Around 20% of the world's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz. With shipping disrupted and tankers halted, energy prices could remain elevated for months. Higher energy costs feed directly into inflation. Second, the global debt problem. The United States currently carries over $36 trillion in national debt. At some point, central banks may face a difficult choice: fight inflation or protect the financial system. Historically, when that choice appears, gold performs extremely well. And finally, central bank demand. Central banks purchased over 860 tons of gold last year, one of the highest levels ever recorded. Silver tells an even more interesting story. Unlike gold, silver has a dual role. It's both a precious metal and an industrial metal used in solar panels, electric vehicles, and electronics. But structurally, the silver market has been in supply deficit for several years, while industrial demand continues growing. Historically, when precious metals enter strong bull markets, silver tends to outperform gold dramatically. So the real story isn't that gold failed during a geopolitical crisis. The real story is the difference between short-term and long-term trends. That's why many major institutions are projecting gold prices around $6,000 to $6,300 by the end of 2026. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe to Future Finance Lab. Do you think gold is heading towards $6,000 or higher?